Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Men Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I am Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Pana Yotes Yasu. My brother, what is going on?
What is going on, man? How are you tonight?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Relatively uneventful week, So again, no drama for once. Obviously living with all these ladies in the house. You always may be subject to something, but it's been a pretty smooth week so far, and sort of just looking forward to wind down. And I don't look for chaotic weeks, but at the same time, I'm trying to. I'm trying to just be prepared for anything that may come up this week. So again, we got some folks already jumping into the chat tonight, and unfortunately, guys, you just don't know how to behave themselves from jump. So we're just going to take some of these guys out. Again, we try to keep it very respectful on the show. The only thing we ask that certainly when you're in the chat, make sure to just be respectful. Certainly, we don't want any bad vibes here, but this is a conversation. We're not experts on anything, but we have a conversation about the human experience. Certainly every week here on this show, and it could be a topic on any era, from relationships to economics to just national situations, defense. I mean, we cover it all on this show. Anything that certainly touches the human experience across racial lines, ethnic lines, different countries, how they do things. Certainly me as an African American, and certainly I'll give credit to this guy who came up saying, "Yeah, I'll give me mixed signals like an interracial couple." Yeah, we got. Well, that's what the kind of the we kind of play off that, me being black and he being white. At least sometimes he's white. But then we'll say, but then, but then the whole
You
subject,
reached your
we believe
limit
that.
on talking. Shut the fuck up.
But we do think that certainly we live in a world that's not always black and white, so hence the gray area. And so for a lot of things, we're not certainly going to we respect different views, respect different opinions on the show. And so certainly we appreciate each other's as similarities. We're very similar in a lot of ways. Again, I never knew Peter until we got into this YouTube space, and we've been able to form a good relationship, and we have a lot of things in common. But again, we also think a lot differently on some things also. So just have a respectful conversation about different topics and matters and whatnot is what the show is about. And we try to bring you again different topic for having a good stimulating conversation every week. So again, we appreciate you guys being here. I got Craig, who's man in the back for us. We appreciate you being here. Big up to Craig, my brother from the UK, and certainly good to be here. And of course, my guy Anton in the building tonight. Certainly always support you in the space as well, and looking forward to some great things he's going to be doing certainly on the Sparta HQ Network in the near future. So we're getting great onboarding you and just being part of what we're doing here. And so all right, homie, I appreciate your first point, but again, none of this is relevant to what we're doing here. So again, you can stick around for the conversation, but again, like as always, be respectful. But if you just want a platform just to kind of have your views, that's kind of not what we're about here, and especially on this show in particular, because this is certainly our call-in show. So again, every week we try to have every month, every 4 shows we do try to do a call in. So we're going to, what's that?
First of all, I need to ask you a big question. Did you make it a comic book store for free comic book day yesterday?
I did not. I didn't even know about it, to be honest with you. I've been running around. I've been busy all weekend. So I'm not listen, I don't even own a comic. I haven't owned a comic book in probably 40 years. And so honestly, I'm not.
So I got we probably missed the beginning of the show yesterday, so I'm going to tell you now. So I kind of killed 2 birds on one stone, literally. So I went down to the comic book, so I picked up 5 free comics. And remember Sabrina? Our
did we had her on?
Yeah.
Oh, you got her book?
Got a signed copy.
Oh, she was there?
Yeah. See, she was there. She was showing up her book yesterday, and so I felt like I wanted to support her because she supported us, and she hooked me up with a 2-in-1 with a signed copy.
Oh, very
Like
cool.
you see here.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I thought it may rub that in some little in your face a little bit. Just saying.
Now, look, I'm glad you were able to meet. Certainly we've been fortunate, certainly in the Sparta space, to have different interviews with different guests, especially in the entertainment space. We've had authors, we've had directors, we've had all kinds of people in that space. So definitely, you want to go over to Sparta HQ
So
Network. And hang on, let me just hype the channel a little bit. I'm trying to give you some
go.
So again, go over to Sparta HQ Network, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for this show, because this show is, again, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. Again, make sure you hit the like button there. And certainly, when you come in here, you can certainly support the channel with either a Cash App or Super Chat. The Cash App for Black Men Unfiltered, as you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And anything that you want to give to us personally, our personal Cash Apps are also scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So again, make sure you hit the like, number one. Certainly helps the algorithm. And again, considering becoming a subscriber, especially to Sparta HQ. If you're into comic books, anime, professional wrestling, we're going to be launching a sports show there very soon. So again, a lot of actions going over there. So hop on over to Sparta HQ and see what the channel's all about. So now you can take over, sir.
So the original plan yesterday was I was supposed to get up and head to Easton because Billy Gunn was in town. Like just
the wrestler
doing a signing.
Mhm.
Yeah, some things came up. I couldn't make it partially because responsibilities around home. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't make that one, but I wanted to make sure I head down to White Dragon Comic in Tannersville to support Pete. He's the owner of the comic book guy. He shows a lot of love towards us, liking and sharing our channel. And I want to show some love to Sabrina because she came on her, they don't get paid when they come up here. They do it for volunteers. And I just want to show her our support and everything. So I feel like they give us, we give back. That's how I always work around. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Good deal. So yeah, so like I said, certainly it was great having her on. Again, you can go to Sparta HQ Network and certainly listen to that interview. And again, lots of, like I said, good content on the channel when you're there. But again, tonight is our call-in show. So again, we have some rules here. So again, every 4 weeks we have a call-in show, and so we're going to drop the link in the chat very shortly. But again, here are the rules. One, your camera must be on at all times, unless there's certain individuals that we know personally that get that pass from us, right? Because we know them personally. But for everyone else, if you haven't been familiar with the channel, camera must be on. You must keep it respectful. And again, we'll bounce you if you get out of pocket. We'll bounce you. We're not here for that. We're trying to be adults here and have, again, respectful conversation and whatnot, but certainly you're welcome to come up if you want to talk about a topic that we've talked about. So again, the last couple of weeks we talked about the tax code in this country. We talked about nonprofit organizations. I mean, we talked about topics on relationships. I mean, like I said, just go back, certainly look over the list of shows. We cover all kinds of things. We talk about weddings, Valentine's Day, the cost of engagement rings. We cover everything, again, within the human experience on this show. Just war theory is another topic that we covered a few months back. So again, there's a lot of topics that we'd like to touch here. So again, if you had a comment or something on the show, it's like, yeah, I really want to respond to what you guys are saying, but you didn't have a chance to. Well, now certainly tonight is your opportunity where you can kind of come in and be part of the conversation. You can certainly join us for the call-in show. So again, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. But, certainly as we wait for people to come up, we'll just keep the conversation going between ourselves. Again, we invite you guys to be part of the conversation, be respectful to us and each other in the chat. But we'll keep the conversation moving while we have the show, and we'll keep the door open for whoever wants to be here for that time. So,
yeah,
so I'm about to drop the link now, and go ahead.
So, as my partner says, like, you guys can come up and this is my version of it. You guys love talking shit in the comments, so bring it. I'm ready. Let's go. Like, you want to talk shit? Here's a chance. Right here. Come on. Let's see.
Shout out to my guy Eric, just waking up. So Eric's a loyal, certainly follower of us, and certainly I've known Eric over 40 years, and he's a very good friend of mine, going all the way back to high school. and it's always appreciated when he's part of the
God help
conversation.
you.
And yeah, but that's my dude. That's my brother from another mother. So again, good to have you guys here. So again, the link is in chat. Again, if you do come up, show your camera, and then we'll bring you on and be part of the conversation. But also want to recognize a couple tonight. So we have good friends of ours. Some of you guys may know, certainly the King and me, King Smith and Michelle Ely. They have taken the next step in their relationship. Certainly, if you go to the King and Me, their YouTube channel, Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know because I listen to their show almost every Monday night. I'm usually walking my dog while their show is on, and certainly they have a very transparent relationship, and they just kind of share their experience being together in their relationship, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so again, it's a very interesting dynamic between them. And they took another step in their relationship in that they formed a domestic partnership. And I think they just recently moved in together this week. And I'm sure, certainly in subsequent weeks, they're going to be talking about that and sharing their experience. So anything I say here, I'm not giving anything away, anything that they haven't discussed, certainly in their own channel. But this is certainly a big step for them. They live in the state of Maryland, and where certainly domestic partnerships are allowed. And what I'm also seeing is obviously there's been a growth, a huge uptick. So again, especially in these spaces, the marriage question sometimes gets a little dicey for people. People, scared of it, afraid of it. We had how many guys talk about being taken through the ringer with divorce and all that. No, they didn't jump the broom, but I said if I do come down there, if they invite us for a house break, I'll bring the broom, and I'll see if they do that. Because in the Black community, once you jump the broom, you married. So domestic partnership or not, if they do that, they're going to be married in our eyes. So again, I told Michelle that I would bring the
King
broom.
is scared of those words.
Yeah. So, but again, it's like I
King
said,
is scared of those words.
I leave it to them, certainly to discuss their relationship dynamic. Again, it's a bit they're very again engaging couple. So I definitely would suggest that you guys definitely follow hop on. Like I said, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm sure they'll give you all the details in terms of how the move went and how what's it going to be like, because for a lot of people they're looking at something like a domestic partnership as kind of like the best of both worlds. It's like, yes, you're together, you're official, you're committed as a couple, but at the same time, they don't necessarily want all the strings that may come with marriage. Because I do believe that marriage is a special institution. I'm in my 30th season of it. And so I recognize that in a lot of ways, marriage is as much a public function, a community function, a familial function than just the two individuals. But for some people, if they're, you want to test the waters a bit, or there's some legal issues or certain things that go with marriage versus domestic partnership, for some people, there's some advantages to that. Again, a lot of it depends on your religious views. If because I didn't live with my wife before we got married. I took her from her mom's house, and she moved straight into my house. So there was no sort of intermediate period of time where, let's just try this out and just live together. No, we went all in, and again, from the first date to marriage was 10 months. So I was pretty much on a mission to get married, and certainly she was looking to be found. So when we hooked up, it really didn't take that long, certainly for us to make that move, because we're both marriage minded. And so it was just getting down to some specifics and things like that. But we didn't wait too long for that. But you got Eric. You're asking the same question. I said I'm out of the loop. I knew nothing about the free comic book giveaway. I know my other guy, he was getting on me about it as well. I'm so far out of the loop. I can't remember again the last time I owned a comic book. So I'm what can I tell you? So I didn't take advantage of it. But this is sometimes the situation I find myself in, and that I'm a nerd, or a black nerd, or blurred as we're oftentimes referred to. But I'm not like I don't have my 8th degree Dan built black belt in it. I might be like a second or third degree. With certain things, I have some some peripheral knowledge of certain things, but some guys are like lifers, some guys are like all in, and that's why sometimes, like I said, I can be in a conversation with somebody on a specific topic for certain things for a period of time, but then I'm bouncing because it's like you don't know like I just don't have the time a lot of times to kind of to kind of definitely do it. So
Bro,
yeah, so maybe next year
don't
I
you
can
have
take
the
advantage of it, but
don't you take a dump?
what's that?
Don't you take a dump? Don't you take a shit?
Why is that even a relevant question?
Seriously, because you can bring
I'm
that
not
feces
answering
out
the
of
question.
combo
How about that? No
in the
comment. All
bathroom.
right. So what's your point? How
I'm
about that?
saying you can you read that as your shit. Simple as that.
I read a lot
And
of
that's all
things
I'm
when
gonna
I'm in
say.
the when yes, I mean certainly that is a time to read. Comic books isn't necessarily at front of the list. A lot of times I'm reading a lot of how tos. I'm reading history. I'm reading autobiographies. I'm reading other things. Like I said, sometimes the comic books it just doesn't necessarily land in the same way. Like I said, I have an appreciation and affinity for them, but I don't always patronize. So again, sorry if I'm see a lot of the the nerd kingdom is looking at me kind of sideways right now because of apparently this big event that went on, but like I said, I got one foot in and one foot out, and so certainly for the true believers I might be a heretic to a certain point of view, but yeah, but I only do a little bit at a time. Yeah, Pete, like I say you like I say you definitely on one, sir. But that
No,
being
you know,
said,
you want TMI? Like, is that when you take a big one, you take a picture and send it to your friends?
ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to deal with every week. So you have to, for those of you who are new to the channel, like I said, we are very different in a lot of ways. But certainly that's what keeps it fun at the same time. So, but
Um,
back on the
so that kind
subject.
of says, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, listen, dude, I'm gonna argue tonight because I disagree hardly. You marry and you pick her from a house and bring her right to the, move in together. I think that's a recipe for disaster. It worked in your favor, but that is rare. I'm always a big believer. Like, for example, you could be great together, but once you move in together, you want to kill each other. So
Mhm.
if you don't at least test the waters out for a few months, see if you guys can even, live together for a while and then move on, there's no conversation to have about marriage for me. You need
So
to
wait a
live
minute.
together for
So
a little bit.
hang on, let me make sure I just understand because I was doing a little administration here because again we had some real ones in here. Okay, so repeat that again. So you said you are for or against the whole idea of moving in with somebody?
I'm for it. I'm
You're for
such
you're for it.
a big
Okay.
fan of it. Yes, I think you should live with somebody 6 months, a year, whatever. At
Mhm,
least test the waters out for a little time
mhm,
before you say get on one knee. Says, "Will you marry me?" You know what I'm saying? Before
mhm,
you get engaged, before you say "I do," or
mhm,
let's say you're engaged, then you move in. That's fine too,
mhm,
because you can break up that engagement easier than you can get a fucking divorce.
mhm,
So I am a big believer in living together for a while
mhm.
because again, I've seen a lot of couples get divorced because they never lived together because they could not stand living together.
Mhm.
They were going to kill each other.
Interesting. Right, right. So you said live together 6 months. So that also how long you been dating?
Depends. Look at my
So
case,
again, I
bro. With
mean,
my
you go
ex.
from I mean, because like I said, this is a big step. And again, we're not here, again, I want nothing but the best for certainly Michelle and King and
Oh,
how
I do
their
too.
relationship
They're great
evolves. I
people.
mean, they have a supporter here. So I'm not here to judge or anything regarding their relationship. Again, I want the best for them. But I just want to just kind of frame this a little bit because again, you're saying, Peter, that again, obviously you're gonna meet somebody, you're going to date them for a while, and then
Mhm.
you get to a particular point in the relationship where I'm assuming you're exclusive, and you're going through it, and you decide after a period of time. Again, I don't know what timeline you're putting on that. Do you date them 6 months, and then after 6 months, then you say, okay, let's live together, and then live together for 6 months?
I
And
never
then if that
put
goes
a
good, and then you
hard.
get married, then I'm just trying to get an idea of, since you're an
No, I
I'm not an
understand that.
advocate for it, but since you are, then I just want to make sure that it is being communicated what your view is. Start at the beginning of a
Yeah.
relationship,
So
and then how the relationship evolves to marriage or whatever you
I never
whatever
believe
you
in
say.
hard deadlines. Like in 6 months we should be married, or in 6 months we should move in. I never been a fan of that because it puts too much pressure on anybody, definitely on the relationship, for putting deadlines like, okay, in 6 months we're going to renegotiate our contract, kind of thing. Like, no, a love it shouldn't be a contract thing. It should be something that is an emotional thing. And me and you disagreed with that multiple times. You felt it was more a contract thing than an emotional thing at times. Um, so my personal opinion is you don't have a set time limit. So let's say the first year goes well and you want to move in. And Michelle's and Kings, I think they were together, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years at this point.
Mhm.
And now they're moving in. That's their timeline. So whatever. So after you move in, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be another 3 years. I cannot
Mhm.
give you the deadline on that. I don't know what's can happen.
Mhm.
Say I do, or will you marry me, or whatever the case is for me. So it depends on per situation, I believe. Every situation is different.
Mhm. So it's definitely moving the goalposts in terms of where you. But again, I like to think a lot of this depends on what is your destination. Like where are you going? It's
Mhm.
to me, it seems like when you do that, in the way you described it, you could be on the road for a long time, and at the end of the day, you might have wound up wasting time when it could have been somebody who you might have been more compatible with, or more at least upfront in terms of what they wanted. And so you wasted. So again, let's just look at the example that you said: 3 years together, then moving in, and then however long that lasts, and then you wind up at the end of the day like this isn't working. So at the end of the day, what did you have for all the time that you invested with somebody who really wasn't on the same page? If especially if that's what you want. So again, if you're somebody, if this does not apply to someone, certainly if you don't want marriage a long term. If you just want to be with somebody, you have fun together and whatnot, but no commitments, and certainly not marriage. I think if you are marriage minded, then I think that's a dangerous game to play. And it can be a very wasteful one if that is the end goal in mind. And again, this is part of the conversation. This is why we're having a conversation. And again,
Mhm.
being that it is the call in show, again, anybody wants to hop on and again, certainly join this conversation with us. Again, you're certainly free to be part of the combo. So again, the link is already in the chat. So again, anyone showing up, again, the camera has to be on. But what are your views? I mean, certainly for people in the chat, what have you done? If you're married, did you live together before you got married? Or are you currently in a state sanctioned or city sanctioned? Because the thing is, with this, and I can certainly show some slides a little bit later, some of this it may not be accepted in the state, throughout the state, but there's certain cities and municipalities within the state where it is allowed. In Maryland, obviously, where King and Michelle are, it is accepted. I think it's also accepted in New Jersey as well. Well, all different types of relationships, same-sex relationships, etc. So those things are um, certainly available, but it's not available throughout the country, and it's not recognized throughout the country. So, again, if you find yourself in that situation, certainly share your experience in the comment. Are you with, you agree with my side? And I would think a lot of people, because I tend to be, especially in this space, a bit more conservative. I don't believe in sex before marriage, so I go way to the conservative side when it comes to that. Certainly, as opposed to Peter. But if that is, where do you land? Certainly in that conversation. But we can certainly get our guy up here. Again, a big fan and certainly supportive of the channel and the show. We got our guy Anton in the building. I don't have the sound effect. I don't know if you want to play it.
Oh, I
I don't.
gotta play it.
I don't have it. So go. You got to play that every time he comes on. What's going on, Anton? How you doing, sir?
What's going on, fellas? I'm doing well.
Doing all right. Yeah. So again, it's a free form show. So again, we're just kind of filling the space. If you can, you can talk about this and chime in if you want to, or anything that we've talked about prior. And we talked about taxes last week. We talked about again nonprofit organizations last week. So anything that you want to talk about, you're certainly free to certainly share your comments on it. But we're just kind of filling the space. Guests will come in and out. You want to make a comment and bounce. Again, no obligation to stay any longer than you need to.
I'm going to stay around when you guys are done. You know that.
Yeah.
Come on and just leave, and that's it. Y'all know that.
But yeah.
Oh, I know that. The Ryan Guy kind of guy.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Oh man. Well, one of the shows. Well, first off, shout out to King and his. I don't know how to refer her as. I apologize, King.
His lady.
Partner, lady. Yeah,
his lady.
I'm still working through that myself in terms of what because especially if you're older,
yes.
Girlfriend, boyfriend, like I don't know. I would still say it. Now I know I'm Gen X, and they say you're too old to use terms like boyfriend and girlfriend. But if I was in my 50s and I'm dating somebody, if we're exclusive, I'd be like, yeah, this is my girlfriend. I got no problem saying that. But for some reason, I've been hearing in some of these spaces, there's an age cutoff for a girlfriend or boyfriend. Yeah. I don't know why, but that's what they tell me.
I'm not the type to use like partner per se. I'm not. It's not me. And I think one term I remember.
I hate that term.
Yeah, and one term I remember hearing sometime with somebody I know. They refer to they actually refer to her husband as paramour, and I was like, "That's the term."
Paramour. That's some Game of Thrones stuff. I remember that scene, but you had the paramours, and it was like this big orgy in the bedroom or whatever. That's what I'm thinking. It's like anything goes with a power. That's a little too exotic for me.
Oh, wow, I haven't heard that term in a long time. I remember that in school one time.
For real.
Yeah. My thing, y'all have a lot of good stuff. I didn't get a chance to catch the interracial one, the interracial dating.
Yeah.
And everything.
Actually, interracial marriage.
Oh, interracial.
Because in fact, that show, thanks for reminding me, because that was, again, we based it off. So again, you had the Virginia versus Loving case in 1967.
Right.
Which still baffles me to this day that, certainly I was born in 69. And, these are things that happened in our recent past where things were banned. Like the institution of marriage for interracial couples was banned in many states in this country. Yeah.
Oh, time out. I get it. Speak of the devil, King Smith is in the house.
What's good,
King,
sir?
This show is actually about you, so I would recommend you coming up. Not recommend. I'm telling you to get your ass up here.
So again, I put the link again certainly in the chat. So again, folks, you want to come up again, but again, the rules are again camera on, certainly at all times, and again, keep it respectful when you come. But if you want to be again a part of the conversation, you're certainly more than welcome to come up and chat it up with us. But that Loving v. Virginia case is certainly was one of the monumental cases in the last certainly 60 years that really and the thing about it is it's like anything else. Just because the ruling came out, it can take several years, if not decades, before it starts to permeate the minds of people. You know what I'm saying? So again, you could have you had groups like I remember in the 80s, institutions, churches were saying it is wrong to marry interracially. Yeah. So again, it's just baffling to me that that was there for a time.
Look it up. For a period of time, a lot of states, mainly in the old Confederacy, actually had laws on the books making interracial marriage illegal.
Yeah.
And then eventually a lot of those states started overturning those laws. And I think if I remember, the last state to overturn that law was Alabama.
Yeah. And it wasn't not too long ago because it got to a point where it wasn't like the law might be on the books, but they didn't enforce it.
Exactly.
And it would take like an act of like you got to bring it to a vote and all that to undo the law or to take it away. So I think for a lot of people, it was like, yeah, it was generally accepted, but it's still in your law books. Why don't you take it out? And what's the reasons for that?
A lot of states actually took them off. I think if I remember, I think it was back in 96 or 2000. Alabama was the last one. I think it was on the ballot, and I think it was overturned by a whopping 91%, wanting to legalize interracial marriage.
Yeah.
I think that was in 96 or 2000, if I remember. And the fact that many people in the state of Alabama were technically breaking the law, even though they took part in this legal covenant.
Yeah.
That's really saying something. That really does.
Honestly, guys, I think this was even a law at some point, to be honest with you. I thought it was something like we said between, whites didn't, marry whites back in during the slavery area and all that stuff. But I don't think it was ever a law. When I heard it was a law on the show, I kind of like, if you remember, I'll give it a double look at first. Like, seriously,
this is, and like I said, it's recent.
Law.
Yeah.
And this was
the recency of it, I think, is what gets me. I mean, people think, oh, you talk about slavery, talk about all this stuff hundreds of years ago, but no, but the legacy of it, it still endures to a large extent.
Effect, I can honestly say this law went into effect about 3 years. This ruling went into effect 3 years before my parents got married.
Yeah.
That's how far back it goes. 3 years before my parents got married, 3 years before my sister was born. So that's how far back this law goes. And a lot of people did not know that. And of course, because of the time period during the civil rights movement, ending segregation, a lot of people in the South were angry. A lot of them were frustrated. A lot of them, didn't want any people of color, didn't want black people to have anything simple or basic. Nothing. And here's the thing. The couple got married in Washington, D.C. Then they moved to Virginia. Virginia had a law on the books had that law in the books at first. And then a lot of other states followed suit. And that's why it had to go all the way to the Supreme Court. Because both of them, because they were arrested, they were treated like garbage for no reason at all whatsoever. Liberty Twitcher, I think they were living in the Commonwealth of Virginia when they were arrested for breaking the law on interracial marriage, and the last state to vote that law to make it legal was Alabama, and I believe that was 1996 or 2000, if I remember.
Gotcha.
So it was the fact that this is all recent memory. The fact that, like I just mentioned, this was before my parents got married. That's how much there's still a significant amount of people in this country that remember what took place.
Absolutely. Before we go on, gentlemen, we all need to kind of sit up a little higher, whatnot, because we have a king in the building.
Sorry,
give it up for our guy, the king, and his actual name is King. That is not a fix. It is on his birth certificate. The man's name is actually King Smith. In the building tonight. Welcome, sir. And second of all, again, congratulations. You've taken the next step. You didn't jump the broom, but you certainly took the next. Man. You didn't. But you certainly, you and Michelle, certainly made the next step in your relationship. And so, first of all, congratulations. How was the move? And just certainly. If you want to kind of give us the quick in terms of how everything went and kind of where things are certainly at this point in time.
Oh, we got a part of his place now.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on. We started the process and went from 2 homes to 1 on Friday, and for the most part, everything on my end and her end went by smooth. Because we do live in a gated community, and I say that very jokingly.
Wait, hey, King, real quick, can you turn your volume up just a tad? Can you?
Yes. Let me. Maybe if I come closer to the mic, because I'm on my phone right now.
Okay, not a problem.
I'm gonna leave
You're gonna crack your
and join
cameras.
back on my computer. I did get the internet.
Okay,
up.
why don't you do that? And
I'll be
I'm
back.
going to address a question that came up in the chat. We can also chat about this because I thought it was a very important question as well. So why don't you come back in and we'll pick up where we left off. But I want to go back in the chat. Shout out to Mackie Samuels. 9954. Yeah, it's a very interesting question again off the books, but it's interesting because I've been dealing with this as of late. So, Mr. Bennett, do you still believe as collective of black American men should change their heroes? Why does our collective have a higher regard for the rapper Future rather than the exemplary NFL QB Russell Wilson? Honestly, in my view, I've sort of taken a different take on just heroes or hero worship in general. I don't know if I necessarily have that anymore. I think that human beings are very complex, and I think that certainly you can certainly separate what a person does from how that person acts in terms of their character wise. I can recognize achievements. Like I literally like last week you had Khalil Ali. This was like the main wife of Muhammad Ali. It might have been his second wife, I believe, because he was married to this lady very early on. But once he joined the Nation of Islam and he married Khalil, that was like, she was really the one that, was with him for a good portion of his career before he moved on to Veronica Porsche and all that kind of stuff. So towards the end, but she spilled the tea on who he was as a man and a lot of things that he did. And Ali was one of my, if I had who were my heroes from sports or anything else, it was Muhammad Ali and it was Bruce Lee. A couple years ago, found out that Bruce Lee had a major drug problem. In fact, if you remember the movie Fists of Fury, or the Chinese Connection, however you want to name it, there was the guy he fought, one of the last fights he fought against the big Russian guy in that film. He was his supplier. So here's Bruce Lee. Here's this guy who's the epitome of health and everything and good living and whatnot. But the guy was compromised, and people are still asking questions about his early death. But but again, that hurt. I'm watching the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix now. Now I was a Hulkamaniac. I had the Hulkamania shirt back in the day, and I would certainly buy into that when I was big into wrestling like that. And then you had the sex tape came out, and then the things he said on the sex tape about black people. There was just things that I just saw that, so I'm like, well, why am I putting all my time and effort putting these people on a shirt and wearing their shirt? Like, yeah, these figures, and then you find out things about them that is unsettling at the very least. I mean, Khalil Ali, she said that he abused her. I mean, straight up on the interviews. So I'm like, so how do I separate that? It's like, yes, you're a great boxer. You've done a lot as far as the image of black men. So your question about what black men embrace as an image and whatnot. But we all knew about his dalliances. We all knew about that he was not one, certainly not to have his side, affairs with the ladies and everything. But how do I evaluate the man? And so for me, the one thing I stopped doing is I stopped idolizing people a while ago. And so again, I could recognize, look, he was a great boxer. Bruce Lee was a great martial artist and certainly movie influencer. And I can talk about all different types of people. But the idea of who my hero should be, I think these days you should be able to look to yourself. What are you doing in your life? Are you a hero to your family, to your wife, to your kids, to your community that's around you? I think we put too much of our influence in the heroes and not having people to really grow up and do some other and do some other things. And so I think this whole idea of we need heroes. We need men in general to be heroes. We need heroes that are teachers in the classroom. My nephew, he's part of an effort to recruit black men to be teachers in classrooms, because the chances of you, if you're a black male, to have a black teacher is very it's rare when that happens. And so I think we just need to take the shine off of sports athletes and entertainers and rappers and all these people in general. So whether it be Russell Wilson or Future, I don't think that's who we need to be idolizing. Even someone like Michael Jackson, who again, I mean, incredible. I saw the Jackson movie and whatnot. I think they definitely need to come out with a sequel to it. And I think that, but again, the guy was dead by 50 years old. And so again, I think that this idea of where we place our trust in people. Yes, you can look at them for inspiration and whatnot, but your hero hopefully is your dad or your grandfather or your brother, your big bro, or someone like that. But I'm just not one to be all into, I gotta have these individuals because they're famous or they're celebrities or Michael Jordan or whoever it is. I gotta wear their name on the back of my jersey or whatever. I just think that that's a narrative that I think needs to change in our community. Period. Look at the people who are smart. Look at people like Neil deGrasse Tyson should be a hero. So I just start to just in recent years I start to think a little bit differently on that. But certainly, if you guys want to touch on that, I just wanted to bring that up since King had to dip for a minute. You guys want to respond to that, and then we can get back to King and Michelle and their moving and whatnot. We can kind of keep that conversation going. But I want to address the topic.
I definitely want to pick up back on that, Paul. It goes back to that Nike commercial Charles Barkley did when he first said, "I am not a role model." And I remember he got a lot of flack because he said that. They focused on those words he said instead of paying attention to what he said at the end of the commercial. Just because I could dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should be raising your kids. Parents should be role models. And he stuck to that for the last 30 plus years. He's never changed. He's unapologetic. He said the only person I have to be a role model to is my daughter. And he makes perfect sense. Plain and simple. And I remember when people were giving him grief about it. And I remember when he was on Arsenio Hall and explained it. Yeah, that shows how old I am. But he has always been and ever been unapologetic about it.
Mm-hmm.
Should be role models. And it also goes back to something that I learned since I was a kid when I was in school. This one nun, God rest her soul, she always said this. Parents are the first teachers. And I didn't realize that until I became a father.
Yeah. Pete, any thoughts on that?
That I had a privilege actually meeting one of my role models, and when I met him, was J.C. David Frank. A lot of people know him as the White Ranger, and he was a dick, to be honest. When I met him, so sometimes your role models are not your role models, and I realized it's better just to look up to yourself, not to anybody else.
That's what they say sometimes.
You're the only one you need to impress. Sometimes the only person you need to impress is you. These people who are your role models, when you most likely not going to meet them. I was lucky to meet them, but you're never going to meet them. Why do you have to go? I'm going to dunk 100 in football, or in my case, I'm going to throw 700 reverse punches or a roundhouse or whatever. He doesn't give a shit about that. But man, and to me. So end of the day, the only person I have to impress is me.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. King, what's up? Any thoughts on this? Or if you want to pick up where you left off in terms of move-in. So, but again, just want to interject that question. So
let me.
You just play the Lion King in the background. I just hit.
I didn't do it. Somebody did. Now, I think that when it comes to your role models, to be said about. I think that.
All right, King, on 3, 3, 2, 1.
My soundboard. I think that when it comes to your role models, sometimes people overlook the impact that people in your immediate circle or space do have on you, right? And it's unfortunate because the people that get the attention are those that are on the national level. They've got the clout, they've got a level of influence because of their celebrity and things like that. I was having a conversation with this guy, 21 years old. He never knew his dad. His mom was the only one that raised him. I said, hey, can you name me 3 positive male role models that's not somebody that goes to your church and not a teacher? Meaning, do you have an older cousin, older brother, uncle, somebody that you could say that man right there is a positive influence on people around him, and he struggled to name 2. And I think that right there is an issue in itself. People have to have the availability, right, to be able to mentor. I have a young kid. He reaches out to me from time to time just to ask me questions that he knows I'm going to give him a straight up answer about. That he can't go to his mom because his mom's not a man, a male. And that right there, one of the last things that he said to me, he said, hey man, thanks for taking the time to just answer my stupid questions. And I said, brother, you cannot ask me a stupid question. I was like, if there's ever a question that you have about anything, man, reach out.
For real, for sure. Awesome. So yeah. So if you want to take it on again, appreciate again Washington and Wildow. Certainly in chat again. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Liberty Twitcher. Again, thank you for showing up. Certainly as part of the combo as well. Appreciate you being here. And again, the point wasn't about but this is what I'm talking about. The idea that you can say that certainly Neil deGrasse Tyson, for what I understand, and I've heard his commentary on that, trying to make a case for transgender in sports. Now, again, you can reject that issue, but what you cannot reject is that he is a leading astrophysicist. And rather than being, again, thinking that black men should be basketball players or pursue athletics, he set an example and standard that should be respected. But you may not like the man personally because of his views of what he did. And so, so the idea that, how do we judge these people? Like I said, I may have a problem with former athletes or people who I admire because of their, personal views or whatever. But again, I can still accept or appreciate what they've done in their vocations. That is praiseworthy. But you can always disagree with them at the end. But I'm not trying to make an idol out of him either. But again, I don't want that point to be missed. That again, we need to also start embracing smart people, or in different areas and fields rather than just sports, athletics, entertainment, or music. And that was the point that I was trying to make. But again, you're certainly you're free to your opinion. But King, if you want to certainly resume. So again, big week for you or whatever. So if you just want to kind of give it, and again, you don't have to give anything away because I know your show. And as I told people, if you want to drop your link in the chat, put your link to your show. You guys having a show tomorrow night?
Yes, we are. So we moved in together. Both Michelle and I were living in 2 separate places after being in a monogamous relationship here for a little bit, over 3.5 years. We have made the decision to cohabitate. And the joke that I tell people is that we moved to a gated community with armed guards and everything. Essentially, we moved onto a military installation as I'm as a federal employee and as a retired U.S. Air Force member. I'm able to
Air Force.
So
Air Force.
Yes, sir.
Does your house meet the Air Force standard? That's the question I have to ask you now.
Oh man, this is a nice 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's lovely.
So it meets the Air Force standard.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know I had to ask that question.
The only headaches that we've had, it isn't her stuff coming together with mine or anything like that. Is that, and this can kind of be political, but hear me out. If you're having a delivery be delivered by Home Depot, Lowe's, whoever, they hire like a company that will do that shipment as well as the other ones that they have. In order to be able to get on base, since our current president has came in office, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to have a real ID, and I'm talking about the one that has the star on it, REAL, and you can't have any felonies. So you have to pass like a quick background check. Like it doesn't take long, but a lot of these companies, they're hiring, and people that are doing like the hard labor type stuff are people that aren't U.S. citizens or people that have felonious backgrounds. So we had some of our things like our living room set, our washer and dryer, and the most important thing, our bed hasn't been delivered yet. So we are thugging
So you
out.
guys are roughing it.
We are roughing
You're
it.
roughing it. You guys what sleeping in sleeping bags or whatever? How you managing this?
Got a
Air mattress.
deluxe queen luxury, which is what it said on the packaging, air mattress. And let me tell y'all, it's actually not that bad.
So you went to the PX to get your stuff, right?
Yeah. Listen, for the first
space is small, so we end up having to go to Dick's Sporting Good.
There you go. Listen, when we got married, you figure we had purchased our furniture set from anti-remember Siemens Furniture from back in the day, and it took several weeks before we got our bedroom set. So we just went out that we bought a mattress. We bought a king mattress, and we slept on that mattress probably for the first 2 or 3 months. And to this day, I still think of those times fondly. You know what I'm saying? It was like, because again, it didn't matter, like all that stuff, because I've never been a big furniture guy anyway. I think furniture brings a lot of clutter. I like open space. I like to be able to just wave my hands and not knock anything over. So you get the big armoire and all that other stuff in there, and the dresser. You get up in the middle of the night and you're hitting your knee on the dresser as you're going out or whatever. So again, just being on the mattress. I remember that just as well. And finally, it's weird because when we had ordered a new bed, and again, unfortunately, we went through Bob's again. Yes, I am hating. Don't buy from Bob's Furniture, okay? Bob's Furniture.
Too late.
We ordered a king. We ordered a king bed set from Bob's Furniture. The first one they got, it was broken.
Wow.
The second one they got, that was also broken. And the third one was like, it was taking forever to get it. So I said, you know what? Just cancel my order and whatnot. I went to I think a job lot and found but we got the mattress though. So we got one of those memory foam mattresses, and we slept on the floor again. This was like 4 years ago. And it just took me back to those days when we were sleeping on the floor for months. And I loved it. It was like I felt like I felt like a newlywed again. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she's like, look, I prefer to be in she likes to be elevated when she's sleeping. So she wasn't feeling the love or the romanticism or the throwback that I was, but I was in my zone. I was like, this is so great. I just loved it. So I'd say just enjoy this time as best as you can. Hopefully in a few years, you and Michelle will talk. Yeah, remember we first moved in, we had to sleep on that air mattress and whatnot. Remember this, because
don't use the N word around him. He gets his highs.
I didn't say N word. I said a few years from now. I don't know what.
I know. I'm just warning you now. Don't use it.
I already know. I already know.
Okay.
I already know.
Hey, you know what's funny? I said something the other day to her, and I said, you didn't marry the type of man that knows how to put things together, and joking about something that we build. And I didn't even realize what I said. And she said, what'd you just say? And I was like, wait, what? But look, we are not complaining at all. We are happy that we were able to get the keys to the property. The property is fantastic. We've met our neighbors. They're dope. So, for the minor setback that we do have, it's a story that her and I can laugh about. And
you will.
Tell.
Hey, King, just remember from our time in, your tax dollars at work. Just remember that.
Yes, sir.
Good
So
deal.
so we are going to have a live stream tomorrow. We tested out everything in our new space, and tomorrow we're just going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly from our first couple of days of us going from two houses to one.
I got you. I got
Now,
you.
here's a question
So
for you,
yes,
King.
Our military.
Because I
Nah,
know when we were hanging out last year, I know you had to hold off because of financial reasons. And one of the reasons you said you picked the location you did is because how close is Michelle's job? Is that far from Michelle now? Because I know before it was a skip it, do that, and she was right there at work.
Yeah, so she could walk to her house from our house to her job in her previous location in under 10 minutes. Now it's a 10-15 minute drive max without a whole
That's
lot
not
of
bad.
traffic. So that's not bad at all.
I heard that. I heard that. So we were talking just before you came on the show. We were talking about the idea of domestic partnership and how this is obviously becoming an option that's being available to more people in more states and municipalities, certainly in the nation. And I know Peter, he was like, I'm kind of old school. Like I married my wife from the first date to marriage was 10 months, and I took her from her mama's house and she kind of just moved in straight. So we didn't do cohabitate. We didn't do any of this. So we went straight to it. Now, Peter, on the other end, he's an advocate of, certainly dating for a while, moving in, seeing if it's there. And if you go to the next level, if should you decide to do that, then a more gradual kind of stair step approach. How did you and Michelle kind of get to this point? Because I think how long you guys have been together now?
Over 3.5 years.
3.5 years to you together. And now you're taking this next, I don't know if I want to call it a step. I would call it a destination. I don't know where to quite, how to tie that, how you feel about it. But whatever this is, it is a step nonetheless. So talk about if you want, as much as you're willing to share, how did it get to this point? To what you said, now it's the right time to take your relationship to the next level.
All right, let me start here. I told her yesterday that I found that it was interesting because I joined the Air Force at 18, and from the time that I've been grown, I've never actually lived by myself. I was in the dorms until I moved off base, and when I moved off base,
the dorms.
yes, and then hey,
Dorms.
we call them dorms. I don't know what other services call them.
We call them the barracks.
Hey, dorms, like other services call it chow hall.
I lived
Let's
in
see,
I was in the dorm.
Terms evolve, Anton. Terms evolve. Okay.
Give me a break.
Terms evolve.
Give me a break.
All right.
Oh,
so
no.
I know being this is Gen X, right? So we come from the days when they were barracks to now they're dorms, and they're going to call them condominiums and studio apartments, all that kind of stuff down the line. We evolved through all the ages, but he wants to go back to the old the Rutgers the quads were called barracks at Livingston University at Rutgers. So I think he's still tormented from that for some reason.
Yep. Now, and then from that time, I got married. Then after I got married, I got divorced, and in the divorce, I still never lived on my own. So I told her, I said, I think it's actually fascinating that at 41 and I'm about to be 42, I've still technically never lived on my own. But my point in sharing that, I thought before her and I met that once I got my finances straight and things like that, that I was going to have, this ultimate bachelor pad, and it was going to be the hangout spot. And I was going to.
You wanted the waterbed with the mirrors on the ceiling.
The mirrors on the ceiling.
Mirrors on the ceiling, the waterbed.
Music and the lights start playing. So, all of that. And then Michelle and I got introduced. Now, fast forward to now. Things have gotten great for me personally and things like that on the professional level. I was able to turn my finances and things around. And there's two parts to this. I actually told my dad this as well yesterday. I said, I think that it's interesting that I'm not nervous. I'm not itching. This wasn't a pressure situation. She didn't backdoor her way into us moving together or anything. It's like, she brings value to me. I recognize that. That's the reason why we've lasted
as long as we have, and as long as that's there, this relationship is, going to work. Like, I don't care about love. I say this very openly. I care about the respect factor. And does anyone, like, not just her, does it, my friends, my family, whoever, do they feel like an anchor to me? If my daughter felt like an anchor to me, I would cut her off immediately. I don't have time for that. Around about the time I turned 36 or 37, I realized the nature of how relationships are, and whether you're blood or not. If you're an anchor, I have no problem saying, I don't need to know you. Good luck. So with her, she brings value to me. She has not been an anchor. And making the decision to go from 2 households to 1 once everything became right for me, because we were originally going to try to do it 6 months ago, and 6 months ago was not the right time. It then became the right time as stuff opened up. There's different styles of housing on base. There's the old style and the new style. We are in the new style housing.
You're lucky. That's good. That's good. That's good, because a lot of places, a lot of the bases, a lot of the stuff is in need of remodeling and renovations. That's why and I don't know what base you guys are living at, but there's a significant number of bases that had to literally do a total overhaul when it came to their base housing, because stuff was either neglected or just, stuff fell through the cracks because of everything that was going on, especially within the last decade or so.
Yes, sir.
Right. Got another person in the building tonight. We got Wash and Waldo. I didn't get the hashtag initially, but I know the face. Is good to see you, sir. How you been?
Doing good. A little bit of a back problem trying to be sporty with my kids, and forgot that I'm 44, but I'll be all right.
Yeah. 40 is dangerous. 40 is dangerous. 40, you feel like you can take on the world. I can come off the bench. I can come out of retirement. I can do, and then you pull that hammy and be like, yeah, you 40, bro.
I was okay in my 40s. I'm about to be at your level, Paul, in the next few months, okay?
Yeah, I'm just telling you, 40 is dangerous, because you be thinking, I can do this. I can still do this. It's like, nah.
You can't. Cam was the youngest guys here. You guys are like,
I lost to a 6-year-old in soccer today. My son is 6 years old, and he beat me in soccer.
So, absolutely. Yeah. You start losing basketball, one-on-one basketball games. I had a nephew. I used to crush
basketball. I'll never lose.
I used to crush him in basketball, but he had a growth spurt. I think he grew 6 inches in 1 year, something like that. And once he got his base developed, I couldn't touch him. I couldn't touch him. But what's going on, sir? What's on your mind?
I had to jump in, or I had to come up with again, King. You got to give us hope, I guess. I don't know if it's hope but first off, congratulations. It's a great thing. She's amazing, all of that. But when we're speaking outside of her, for us in our age bracket, like, even though you have a positive thing going, would you still advise for us in our age bracket to cohabitate with the woman having the dream or goal of marriage?
At the basic level, no, not at all. Absolutely.
Okay. So if a woman has that goal, like, it's like she's leading, she's giving you breadcrumbs to being the anchor. You dig? And it's like you are playing with fire, even though it's an awesome fire. It's a good fire. It's a healthy fire. It's a fire that's making you better. Yes, but it's still fire.
But also, I want to get a little more context to this as well, because you actually took 2 steps here. You didn't just do one. Because again, people move in all the time. Like, cohabitation is certainly pretty normalized, but you guys took an additional step in that you formed, again, a domestic partnership. So you guys are legal in the state of Maryland, that you have formed this new corporation in addition to that. So when you talk about just the decision to not only move in together, but then also the step of forming that. So even supplementing Wash and Waldo's question, that for older guys in their 40s, is domestic partnership where it's available, because it's not available everywhere. but where it is available, is that also a move that guys should consider as well? So talk about those two in tandem.
Yeah.
Before you go, King, because mainly he's right. Was this like a compromise of marriage? And if like, because if maybe that is this something we should be, if we don't want to get married, was this a compromise for Michelle, kind of? And maybe we need to do more education about domestic partnership. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, no. So
Okay.
so I'll start here. It is not a compromise. What we wanted to do was make it easy. Like both her and I wanted to make it easy so that the grown things that happen, like if you go to the hospital and a decision needs to be made, right? At the marriage level, it's automatic who that is, right? And if you don't have anything in writing, the ability to look at records or make a decision comes down to, well, how are y'all recognized around each other? Like if Jason, if you and somebody named Charlene were just friends and there was nothing on paper, but she's the one that's been staying with you because you just had a recent cancer diagnosis or something and there was nothing on paper, Charlene really can't do a lot because there's nothing written down about what this other person can do or make a decision or get access to records and things like that. So we make the decision that while we are not married, if we are planning on doing life together, what can we do to make a lot of that stuff less of a pain? Like I trust you enough to share not share finances. We do talk finances. We are very open with that, but we haven't gone to like a one pot thing or anything like that. But for health decisions and things like that, it's just putting that in place makes
so
that,
so you've given her the responsibility of pulling the plug if she wants to.
not quite like that. There's something else that I want to address and throw in there too.
Okay.
Or people having a relationship over a certain age. I think you as an individual should really sit down and figure out what it is that you want. So I have what I've communicated to her about my thoughts on how this relationship is going to go. And she has communicated her desires and stuff with me. And we have these checkpoints. And I think too many people compromise on checkpoints without really being honest and open about what it is that they're willing to do and things like that. So before we moved in, we set a cohabitation agreement in place that we had notarized, where we sat down and we talked about what our roles and responsibilities was going to be in a cohabitating situation. And we talked about everything and said, hey, is there anything that you're not comfortable with, that you've left out, that you've been reluctant and things like that? And my advice to people over a certain age would be have those hard conversations, write down what it is that you desire, and if the other person can agree to that, great. If they have some trepidations about anything, don't go through with it.
But I feel you, but see, this is sorry, so somebody else wants to jump in. Go ahead.
This is something new.
Yeah, go ahead, Anto.
Like this is something new, and I know some people.
Here's a question for you. Go ahead, you go first. I'll ask you.
Like this is
go ahead.
All right, like there's nothing wrong. I have nothing wrong with people. Like I've never understood how, and this is nothing against you, Air Force. Don't take it personal. I never understood how some people could be together for so long, do everything that is basically almost associated with that M word. And I'm going to respect that because I know how you feel about it. I'm from what I'm hearing, but don't want to make it official. Now, never understood that, because it seems like even if you do get paperwork notarized and you have everything signed in writing, there's always going to be that one person that's going to make an issue out of it. Like, okay, and I still can't give you this information because of this, and this. You're going to have that one doctor or that one nurse that's going to say, well, okay, that's doesn't answer the question. And then the reason why I know a lot of people are taking this serious now was because of the Terry Schiavo case that happened, I think, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like you had Michael Schiavo on one side and you had Terry Schiavo's parents on the other. And people were like, who should be making that decision? Terry was married to Michael. He has that decision. He makes that decision. And I know the parents didn't like that and didn't want to accept that. But to me, I felt like with everything that was going on, he was in a Kobayashi Maru. Whatever he chose to do and not to do, he was going to get vilified. If he divorced Terry while she was still in her vegetative state, people would have came down on him. What happened to, love, honor, obey in sickness and in health? People would have given him a hard time because of that.
Why would we give him a hard time, but we don't give women a hard time?
Say, what's up, Wash? I didn't hear you.
Why would we give him a hard time if we don't give women a hard time for having divorces and in sickness and health? We don't hold women to that standard. Why would we hold a man to that standard?
He would have been vilified for divorcing his wife who was in a vegetative state.
So?
I know, I don't, listen, whatever goes on between couples in that situation, that happens. But I know for a fact because the way it played out and they got so much national attention, I just felt like he was going to get vilified even more because of the fact that he divorced his wife who was in a vegetative state because her parents felt like, no, keep her on the ventilator, keep going. Michael went to nursing school, changed careers just so he could understand his wife's condition. He got second and third opinions. And when he became a nurse himself and did more research and spoke to doctors about this and realized there's nothing that can be done, then he was ready to make that decision. But his in-laws still gave him a hard time about that.
Because the decision should have been made from his in-laws, not him.
How's it that?
Just like I would say with King, the decision should actually be Castle's, not anyone else's. I think I think we do a very strange thing because our families are so fucked up that we outsource those decisions to somebody that really shouldn't be outsourced to. Let's think about it before marriage got really wives murdered their husbands all the time way back in the day, and it just wasn't accounted for, through poisonings and all. When women got tired of them, man, they figured out a way to get rid of them. And I think that women use this whole, well, you should marry me because just in case you get to go to the hospital, I'll protect you. And they kind of trick us with that. Women they all use that same scenario of, well, what if you go to the hospital one day and, you need someone to, because no, that should go to your family. Not to. So when you take that argument away, there still is not much reason for marriage to a woman.
Castle wasn't there. Castle wasn't. Hold on. Castle wasn't there when I got my ICD implanted and needed to be helped from the bed. Needed the additional things. Castle wasn't the one that had that responsibility.
Should she have?
No.
You don't want her to take care of you when you're old?
I'm not saying that there can't be a scenario where the child doesn't take care of the kid. I think it really depends on your situation. But it doesn't have to be. I'm hearing you say it like it should be your child.
No, well, we talking about a child at 50 or a child at 16?
A child above 18 should have the right to decide if the father gets pulled off the life machine or not.
Wow.
Versus a domestic partner, I feel. I mean,
you're making a choice. You're basically, whether you get married or whether you put it in your will or however you want to do it, or getting what do you call it, a health care directive or whatever. You're ultimately making that choice.
Yeah.
Based on your relationship with your kids, because again, trust, I went through this with my parents also. Most of my family couldn't make the decisions that I had to make them. I'm the youngest of my family. If you try to do it in order, no one else was going to do the decisions or not. So not everyone, just because they're your kin, that doesn't make them capable. And so ultimately, you need to, in taking care of your health and whatnot, you need to make sure that you have people who you trust to make that call. It could come from your kids, but again, the way I've seen certain kids and how they act up, especially when the parents get sick, that
good point.
kids may be the worst option.
Yeah,
Because they get their emotions
really
and whatnot involved, and they're thinking about, keep her. I'd rather keep her alive than as a vegetable than let her go. It may not be the decision. It may not even be the decision that the parent wants. And if you know that about your kid ahead of time, then why would you trust that decision to them? So I think that certainly those who at least take some agency, whether it be marriage, domestic partnership, a health a directive, power of attorney, all those things you're factoring in. You got to survey the landscape that you belong to, so that the right people that you want making your decisions for you are the ones that are there. But that's something only you would know that, because that's your world.
Look at my case. Like, I know what I go through with my parents. My mother, for example, she's not easy to deal with at 67 years old. Colon cancer stage 3. It's a pain in the ass sometimes to deal with her. I'll be the first one to admit that. As much as I love her, we have a weird relationship, and you've seen it on camera and everything. I already took initiative in me before I have kids. If it's time to me, if I have to get to the point, I have to put a plug. 2 of my best friends are going to have to make that decision together. That's how I did it.
You kind of like one of those movies where the people you got to turn the key at the same time. You got if you want to pull
nuclear code,
if you want to pull the plug on me, you got to turn
the nuclear option. Yeah, that's the nuclear option. Absolutely.
One of them told me like,
absolutely.
Don't feel comfortable with this, dude. The other one goes, I'm flattered. I'm like, you guys are fucking kidding me here now. I'm like, and they have all control. Anything happens to me financially, everything, they will be calling the shots. Because I don't want to put that responsibility during the morning time on somebody. If somebody, I literally kicked the bucket 5 minutes ago now. Well, you get money and you got to put me in the ground. Pick one.
And that's a tough thing too. I mean, even especially as a single person, Pete, you're gonna have to make some call. You should be seriously thinking about who you want to make those calls for you. Somebody, a friend, somebody needs to be in the mix, because you don't have next to kin, you don't have a family. So who's going to do those?
I have 2 of my best friends.
Yeah, all we did was figure out who's going to clean our internet history. We haven't figured out how to get who's going to actually, like, that's the only thing we focused on. Hey, when I die, make sure you come. Here's the key to my clean.
There you go. There you go. Want to acknowledge Aqua Redo 5810 in the bit. What did you stumble onto? This is the gray area. We're just having an open forum conversation. This is our call-in show, so we're just dealing with whatever's on the table. We don't have a set agenda tonight. We're talking about domestic partnerships, because I got our guy King, who not only certainly entered a domestic partnership, but also just moved in with his lady. And we're also talking about, the question was raised tonight about what you guys think about role models. Okay, so again, some people, Future's the role model. Should we have more Russell Wilsons than Futures? So again, we talked about that. Whatever's on the table, whatever guys want to chime in on, you can certainly tackle that. But we're just having an open forum. If you do come on, camera has to be on, and you must keep it respectful in this space. All right, otherwise we bounce you. But other than that, the link is already in the chat. Anybody wants to hop on board and be part of the conversation, or just shout out to us, welcome to come up to that. But go ahead, King. You got to.
I've got one thing to add, and then I have to bounce. I think that yes, I will say this on air. I have since softened my stance about marriage. I will add this though. Paul is on season 30. And he did it after the whole thing being 10 months. I hear that and go, that is insane to me.
I got 16. I got 16. August makes 17.
No, he's saying the insane part is that we did it from the first date to marriage was 10 months. That's the insane part. But again, I was very intentional about wanting to be married, and she was also intentional also. So we didn't waste a lot of time.
Oh, I was the same
in dating and whatnot. Like I had no intention. Again, no disrespect to anybody. I had no intention. I was not going to be dating her for 3 years.
I had a list.
Exactly. We going this is what I want. If you're not down with that, get out. I wanted to disqualify people. And the ones that remain that you're going to be serious about being marriage minded, then those are the ones I'm talking to. But if you're not even thinking about that, or if you think that's too short, I was also celibate. So again, if you're not down with that, yeah, you need to bounce. So again, the field got cleared pretty quickly. So when my wife came around, she was like, "Oh, okay, now let's have serious talk." But I truly believe, and I know Pete just vehemently disagrees with me on this. I think that again, if you serious,
2 things before King goes. King, I was right. Number 1 and 2. What is in your eyes? Because you've been married and now dating. What's the difference between living with somebody with get ready, get your EpiPen ready, marriage in your eyes? And everybody has difference.
Well,
what's the difference now? You're living with somebody.
He doesn't know yet. They're just getting started.
No,
I wasn't asking you.
So there are things that we're going to talk about on the King and Me show that even in like my situation, it is legit harder to do it the way that I'm doing it than it would be if her and I did get married, because there are some things like Anton would know, like I can space as a retired military member. If there's space available, I can hop on a plane from Baltimore to Germany for $26 and I'm good to go. Michelle can't do that because her and I are not federally acknowledged as husband and wife, so she can't get on the TRICARE. So there are things like that this is essentially hamstringing us by going this route. Yet I can say that I would prefer this type of a stair-step approach. And I mean, you can even almost call it a trial. Let's see how this can work.
That's what it seems like. This probably is. It seems like as if this goes well for a year and a half, you're going to be putting marriage on the table.
I'll raise my hand and say it's not off the table. But I can't tell you that I can't tell you that there's no way, zero way that we could have gotten there doing it a 0 to 10 and now let's move in because you're like no.
So in other words, let me get you this. You've seen this as an evaluation and you're taking the go, no-go process. Is that it?
In a short version, just like that. Yep. All you gonna
do is talk military to him, and it makes a lot of sense now.
I have the clarity enough to be able to.
Is there a part of you that thinks, because again, this is what happens for I think a majority of men on a global scale, that once she reaches the reward of marriage, it's all going to change.
That is certainly a possibility, because I heard that people say, "Hey, do you think that this is just a front that until they get that?" Then I'm like, well, hey, my challenge back to that is this: we know that the numbers for divorces are higher for second marriages than first marriages. So the joke behind that is, well, I can just as I'm not worried about pulling the plug the second time if the wool gets put over my face, because I've already done it once. So I
at least feel like this. At least you can say she don't love you just for your TRICARE.
Well, hang on. Before I know King has to go, but I certainly wanted to acknowledge the OG of OGs. The guy, I think he goes back to Moses and the burning bush or what have you. But again, certainly appreciate our elder statesman, Harpane, longest married on the panel. He's about to enter season 40 coming up in a year or so.
Yep.
And but again, it's good to have the brother on. So again, salute to you, sir. How are you doing?
Hey man, good. I'm doing fine. How gentlemen? What's going on? Hey,
Good. It's all
discussion
good.
with
It's all
King over
good.
here.
Yeah,
You
King.
know,
I don't want
Times
to. I don't
in the
want to keep you
house.
any longer than you need to. Like I said, I know you got to get ready for a show tomorrow. Again, everybody, the King and Me show. Again, on YouTube. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're going to give you the sort of the move-in wrap-up in terms of everything that went down and whatnot. He just dropped his link information in the chat. So again, go again. I walk my dog every night to his show. So when I'm texting you guys or chiming in, I'm trying to keep my dog out of trouble by texting you. So it's a bit of a work because he wants to go where he wants to go. But again, it's a very engaging show, and so certainly keep up with them as they navigate this new life, this new experience that they're having together. Make sure you follow their content. But King, again, you can certainly drop whenever you need to drop.
Yeah, let me
But
talk
again,
to
I
him
want to
before he
thank. But I
goes.
want to thank you
I
for coming up.
want to get him before he leaves. That's why.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey King, man, let me tell you, man. Before in the past, I used to have this issue about just moving in with a honey. But now in my days, I don't want people to get married unless they can hold a covenant because they're messing up the stats. Right? I don't care what the reason is. If you want a partnership and you want to stay with the person even under cohabitation, there's all kinds of documents for that. I'd rather people do that. Matter of fact, on this channel, I had a whole show of having a partnership agreement relationship. And not a marriage, because a lot of stuff, even in my marriage, we didn't have to be married for. We understand we don't have to be married to own a house. We don't even have to be married to have kids. So the covenant part of it is that thing that keeps you together. Now, I'm not saying you and your girl couldn't do that, but if there's any doubts that you can go through the highs and the highs and the lows, and you get divorced over shit that a lot of stupid people get divorced over these days. No. These days, just stay when it's, have your outs and so I don't have any problem with what you're doing. I think that's a better alternative because now you're at least going in with your eyes open at a certain level, and you're not trying to force it to please everybody else.
I think it's a great alternative. I just like I said, for people in our age bracket, it's like, why do the women want more than that? Like, especially if you're not getting any kids in the relationship. Like if you're not getting any kids with her and she's not getting any kids out of you, why is women in our age bracket still wanting us to marry them when the only thing
I'm not so sure they do though, bro. I'm not so sure they do.
I do agree with Jay on that, and I think most of that comes from how they have society view them. Like from my standpoint, I don't care, but most of the ladies in around our age bracket, society views a little bit different if they're have a husband versus
I agree with that. You mean when they're older? When you say when they're like in the 30s and stuff like that. Because certainly in their 20s, they're not.
I'm talking about women who are in our age, like 40 and up.
Just for you.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You're my special.
Gotcha. All right, King. So again, if you want to bounce, certainly you're free to do so. Again, thank you for hopping on, and definitely we'll be following the adventures of King and Michelle on their network over time. But again, anytime we have a call-in show, certainly you're free to jump up on anytime you want to.
And we'll find a way to bribe the MPs as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Right. All right, you take care. And like I said, I want to keep it moving. I want to share some information since we were talking about domestic partnerships. I like to always try to share a little info. So I got some slides here that I'll just bring up, just kind of talking about a little bit, just to hopefully get some information. And hopefully this information is relatively current. I got a lot of this off a website. This again, an attorney, and he talks about, again, certainly domestic partnerships are certainly growing in popularity, and from what he's articulating, there are some advantages to it, but certainly anybody who wants to get into it, they should certainly know some of the ins and outs and some of the pluses and minuses from doing it. So again, at large, certainly in the state of Washington where this lawyer is based. So again, recognition. Again, the one thing with a domestic partnership, it may not be recognized in all states and territories. And again, and even in some states, it might be recognized in certain municipalities, but it may not be recognized necessarily within the state. Again, when you're married, you have the ability to file taxes jointly, whereas I think with a partnership you cannot. And again, certainly who qualifies, again, any age, any couple. I'm not sure this last point, one partner 62 and over. I don't think it's certainly limited to, you got to be over 62 to be in it. But certainly, certainly that's some info
What do
there.
you mean by lose benefits as a marriage? What does that mean?
Where is that at?
Yeah, from federal benefits, lose survivor benefits. That's not true. I don't know what he means.
Say if you're in a partnership, keep survivor benefits. Well, I guess maybe the benefits stay with you.
No, I'm saying in the marriage column it says
right. It says lose survivor benefit. Right. It could be, well, if you are married, then certainly your benefits, I think, certainly go to, I think they would automatically go to the spouse, right?
Right.
If you're married. But if you're in a partnership, you can still designate whoever you want. So again, I think you have more agency over where your stuff decides.
No, I got you.
But even looking at all this, do any of these benefits outweigh the penalties of getting a divorce? No, absolutely not
necessarily. No. But again, but I think certainly the fact that people are considered. I'm just looking at, just because again, this is new and is growing. So I just sharing the information, but obviously the couple has to have the conversation about it. Again, in terms of property, I think some of the things that you were saying are paying, again, community property, whether you be in a marriage or a domestic partnership, they're both the same. Interstate succession, again, full spousal inheritance rights, federal taxes, no federal spousal benefits. I think King was saying that earlier. There's certain things that Michelle doesn't get because they're not married, whereas if they were, she'd be able to fly different places because of that. And again, as far as out-of-state recognition, again, it may not be recognized in every state. So if you decide to move, then again, you may have to make a decision. It's like, well, maybe we should go to the marriage level if we want to move, especially if we're going to a place where that option isn't available. Healthcare, again, there might be some things there that you may have to be mindful of. I think he's only talking about the state of Washington. So I'll just go to the last one. So this is basically who should consider a partnership. So again, if you want, receiving survivor benefits, need immigration rights, that might be another one, or marriage might be the option. But again, if you're planning to leave Washington or whatnot, protection of income, et cetera, then a domestic partnership might be a better way to go about it. But again, based on your age, again, especially if you're 40, yeah,
because you've done the research more than me, obviously. So let's say, God forbid, a couple has been together for 5 years, 10 years, whatever. They're never married. How does, let's say they bought a house together in a process, whatever they have, any assets they have together. In a divorce, we know, you have to go through court or whatever. Divorce lawyers. How would this be broken down? Now?
It may depend on your state, because again, certain states still apply common law. So you say 10 years, I think the limit is 7. I think in most states, I think it's 7 years where common law can come into play.
I thought it was 6. It was usually
in a PA where I live, state in PA where I live, they just changed it about several years ago. Years ago, it used to be 1 year living together, your common law marriage, it was called, automatically. Then they realized that wasn't fair. A lot of people were getting pissed off and all this shit. So they changed it to 10 years now in PA. After 10 years, common law. So you literally need to get divorced like a regular couple if you're a common law marriage.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's. But as far as that situation, you're together. It can get messier. So I know, Wash, you're talking about the price of divorce, but even in these long-term things. It can get, now if you guys are reasonable, just like in a divorce, you can walk away reasonably. But if you want to make it messy, and if you have kids, I don't care if you're married or not. Kids, that's a level set also. I mean, all bets are off when kids are involved. So I think that
I'm mainly trying to keep the demographic to men, for the men who are 40 and for I do believe that people in our age bracket should be seeking relationships that lead to lifelong commitmentship. I believe that that's what men in our age kind of do want, and even women. But I do feel that it needs to be a conversation that's had between men and women about, look, at this age, there's no reason for me to take the risk, especially if you already have children and you're investing in your children and your children's future, for my children to be hindered if me and you fall out of love. And I think that's a very logical conversation to have, especially if the women are also doing something for their children. I don't want anything to be taken from your children if me and you break up. Why do you want something taken from my children if me and you break up?
Right. I guess the only thing would be, and again, those are reasonable, but again, based on where you live, the time you're together, do you own assets together? I don't think you're necessarily avoiding a lot of those things if you choose to do the married route or not. Now, Arpane, I know you've done shows on this very thing. So again, what's your 2 cents on what Wash is talking about in terms of, again, necessity? So again, a specific situation, over 40, you're not trying to have any more kids. If you just choose to own property together and whatnot, what's your take on his concern about, should marriage even be an option at this point, or should you just go with a domestic, or just,
I think
some other living arrangement?
Well, listen, I mean, it always going to matter what the goals of the people are. Let's just see where we are right now. Most people, probably are starting to cohabitate because of economic reasons. You know what I'm saying? So if they're over 40, both for men and women, they probably amassed a certain amount of money on their own, unless they're all stayed under the lower middle class or whatever. So you have assets when you start to get into that area. So marriage somehow, you probably ought, I think if you get married, you're probably going to have a prenup. Right. And if you're not going to get married, you're probably what you would is outline some things in your partnership agreement, in your commitment, your non-marriage commitment, because you're going to have assets. And if you break up, you don't want to lose assets when you're in your 50s, where 50s or 60s, especially men, you're not going to be able to get that shit back. So you have to protect yourself either way. And the marriage, getting married, sometimes people forget there's already a prenup when you get married. It belongs to the state. They define your prenuptial agreement if you don't define it yourself. And so you're open to the whims of how bitter your woman is going to be. And you can't really take that. So if it's just a domestic partnership, I think you can get out of it easier, even if it's just kids. For example, you might have to pay child support if you're the breadwinner, but you're not paying spousal support. That kind of stuff. So, if you have properties, well, properties are easy to divide. If you can't get together, you sell them. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, I'm kind of like saying that people shouldn't get married. I know Wash wants to keep it over 40, but even still, you should not get married unless you believe in the covenants of marriage. That's what I'm saying. I mean, when you say those vows and you can't really mean them, I say don't go down the aisle. Don't give me no other reason why you're doing it, because your age. Because that's the real thing that keeps you together. You either believe that you made a covenant with God or you don't. And I mean, there's reasons and even in that, you got reasons where you can get a divorce, but they have to be extreme. So I'm just saying, man, I just rather people just shack up and protect each other as opposed to ruining the statistics of marriage, because that belittles marriage overall when everybody else sees you breaking up over just bullshit. Especially, and we got to get rid of no-fault divorce. It just got to go. It's got to go. And so anyway, man, that's my thing. So I really, either way, I just say if you get married, it's got to be a covenant marriage, or don't get married at all.
Right. So would you just recommend just in the normal course of dating? Like, so you have daughters like I do.
Right.
So your thing would be your daughter's dating someone, it's pretty steady, it's pretty consistent, or what have you. What would be your preferred first move? Would it be to marry and move in? Would it be to live together first to test the water a little bit beforehand? Like, if you're consulting your daughter, she's seeing a guy, they're kind of serious, or they're committed, they're exclusive. and they're thinking about making a move, what would
married
you
before they
prefer?
move in? They're still
What's
at
that?
the age I would rather them be married before they cohabitate.
Before they cohabit. Okay.
Right. Now, if my daughters get up to the 40s and stuff like that, first it's out of my hands, you know. And for one of them, it's pretty much almost out of my hands. She's already over 30. She's not too old, but she's still in that age group. But I still would rather her get married if she's going to move in. But in any case, I want to know who they're dealing with. You know, who are you dealing with? That'll have something to do with it too. But because as a man of my age, and I guess you'll get there sometime, Mr. Bennett.
Fascinating.
In terms of, here's my thing. One of the things I worry about my daughters, they have to be covered. I believe that women have to be covered by men. They don't believe that shit no more, but they're rudderless without good men in their lives. Even the best of women, they need to be covered. And right now I still cover my daughters in the way of an older father would, but I get concerned about that for them. And I talk to them about that. You guys, no matter what the modern people are telling you, you need somebody who got your back. You do. And you're going to need that for the rest of your life. So I'd rather.
How do they take that when you do they agree with you, or do they say, "Oh, Dad, you just"? Yeah,
I mean, the government's doing that.
You can say it to us, but I'm just curious.
I'm
how do
saying,
they receive it?
You know what they say.
No, I don't know. I don't know your situation. They could be like, they daddy's girls, and yes, dad. I have no idea your situation.
We have civil conversation about it, but I don't harp on it with them no more.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've said it. They understand where I'm coming from. And so we don't really go down that path too much. We have other things to talk about, but they know my stance on that.
Yeah.
If the power grid somehow just dropped in America, who would be responsible for covering your daughters? Probably you, correct?
Right now, yeah.
Who would cover your daughters if the power grid shut down for 3 months?
Well,
in America,
listen. The point really is, how much can I really cover anybody? They're not living with me anymore either. So
yeah, I know, but I'm saying, who loves your daughters enough to cover them if the power grid drops?
Well, right now, they don't got no, but they're not married.
Right. So it's like, so when they say they don't need that, there's the answer. Like, if the government, women have subsidized this to the government. They really do believe that the government and the police and the fire department subsidizes having a man who's a husband.
Yeah, you know what? Wash his mom said. I'm not gonna get off topic, but after the way so many black women have acted since Clay Thompson and Meg broke up, I really don't want to think of anything about what they have to say ever again. They've shown themselves to be the biggest idiots that have walked the face to the earth, and it's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. And I'm really scared for a lot of our sisters. I really am, because they sound like idiots, and so I don't want to go too far down that. So yeah, they need to be.
It's also insane how colorist you find out how women really are when they're angry at a black person. The colorist comments for Clay Thompson really need to be like highlighted and then shown to black women again in a month. Like the way you all are speaking about this person of color with the jokes and the beige sugar, you all are spouting colorist comments just as much as you all claim that everyone else is spouting about dark-skinned black people.
Yeah, but your point is well taken. Women have really priced themselves out of protection. They priced themselves out of marriage. Black women in particular. I don't know how the white women are doing it, but I'm sure they're not too far behind. But if you have too much social media and people say it's not real life, I don't think that's true, because people have millions and millions of followers, And so I'm just saying, they priced themselves out of all kinds of protections that all other ethnic people have. The Hispanics, the Latinos, Hispanics, white people, Asians. We're completely separate now, almost, and they don't have any covering, at all.
Because of the culture, our God is money. we as a culture, and I'm not saying as a collective, we value money more than anything. We'll justify doing demonic things because we needed the money or we get money for it. When you really look at some of the things that we do within our culture, it's mainly for money.
Well,
that's what we value the most.
You know,
and until we fix that, we
universal
can't
to
fix
us.
our relationships.
Gotcha.
Until women, because if a woman loves you, you can provide for her with about $50,000. She will take away from so many of her desires because she wants your love. And she wants you to be able to provide for her and keep her in her softness at an easy. She doesn't want you working yourself until you have a heart attack. She wants you around the house. She wants you around her because she feels better when you're around. Most of these women just want men working their asses off until they pass out, and then they get the benefits when he's gone anyway. This is why they feed them horrible food. You rarely see women within our community feeding men food that leads to longevity. I see my other Black friends who are passport bros, and their women are feeding them food that leads to longevity. They're changing their diet completely. They're getting them, and it's like, wait a minute, why aren't we doing this in America? Why is the food of the men? In our community? Why is everything that they're feeding the men to sustain themselves killing them?
You can't blame that on women, man. Everybody's under that.
Why can't I? Wait, I can't blame the fact of bad food being prepared.
No,
on women.
Well, first of all, how many women are preparing food these days anyway? You know, that's what I'm saying. So the point really is, I'm saying that
the mother of the children is the person that.
Well, yeah.
The reason that kids are having a bad diet, I will firmly say that a lot of times it's the mother. I see a lot of times the men are in shape, and the children and the mother are not in shape.
Listen,
would you all agree or disagree with that?
That's
I think it's more so where you are. I mean, certainly the standards what's acceptable in the U.S. as far as food would be banned in other countries globally.
That's what I was going to try to say.
So, and most people are, how many going to do the research to see, okay, what's good and what's not.
Black women are the most educated demographic of women, aren't they? That's what they keep saying. So if they're the most educated demographic of people in America, I'm sure they learn some stuff about food and health.
I hear that trope a lot, whatnot. But again, they can be educated in very specific things and dumb in other things. So again, that doesn't.
I'm just holding their accolades to the fire.
I got you. But listen, we got about 10 minutes left in the show, so we need to start landing this plane. I did want to go back to something, and again, Liberty Twitcher certainly has been a frequent guest on the show. At least in the chat. And I wanted to go back in because we entertained, there was a question earlier about role models. Okay. And there was a question that was asked is that, when in our community are we going to start looking at people like Russell Wilson as a role model versus Future? And the only point that I raised was that I think this idea of hero, actually he didn't say role model, he said heroes. The only point I was making, I said in general, we need to start looking at other people as heroes. Again, first of all, starting with yourself, your father, just people who are closest to you rather than celebrity culture in general. We still need to stop making celebrities our heroes. That was the first thing I made. And then I just made a comment about Neil deGrasse Tyson that, again, I would rather people model that simply because he's a man of science, because he's known for his intelligence versus just being able to throw a football. But then he comes back and he talks about, and again, I have no problem with the heroes that he says. So again, he says that his heroes are Ben Carson and Thomas Sowell. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Ben Carson, I have hands. I got it 20-some years ago. He's a brilliant surgeon. Thomas Sowell is a educated economist. Now, I may not agree with, certainly in recent years, their political positions or what have you, but that's the point that I was also saying earlier, that we need to also be able to distinguish between, again, what a person's accomplishments were versus their views or their actions. Like, again, Muhammad Ali, I still revere certainly as a boxer for what he meant to the culture in the 60s. But again, in his private life, which has just recently been shared, he's not the greatest person. And a lot of us knew that ahead of time. A lot of our heroes, that's why they say you shouldn't meet them, because you get to see their flaws also. But the point wasn't that, okay, I don't want to silence Neil deGrasse Tyson or Thomas Sowell or Ben Carson. I acknowledge what I do these days is I acknowledge people and their achievements. But the one thing I stopped doing a while ago was saying that's a great person. Because how do you know? You don't know these people. The only thing we have is their record and their impact and how they've affected the world around us. And certainly for generations, and so we have people who've done that. But yeah, and so again, when we have the culture now, where you got people's monuments getting removed or people getting scrubbed from history and whatnot, that's a debate in and of itself. Or they're getting their statues removed. But again, we can certainly talk about, we should be able to talk about everything about a person, what they did well in terms of their achievements. And again, the things that they did that wasn't so, a character flaw, have that open also. But again, they're still human beings and you shouldn't idolize anyone. So that was the point that I was trying to make. But somehow you got triggered when I mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson. You went to the fact that he tried to defend or make a justification for trans people being in sports. I wasn't even talking about that. That doesn't take away from his intelligence. It doesn't take away from the contributions he's made in the field of astrophysics. And so that gets into another discussion. So again, I wanted to certainly raise that, and that could certainly be my final thought for the night. I can certainly pass it around. You guys, certainly anything that you guys want to share as we land the plane tonight.
Yeah, real quick. I gotta go. Yeah. So let me go real quick.
Go
Tomorrow I'll be on. My show is that Klay Thompson had jungle fever, and we're gonna put the last word.
Geez, that's the name of your show.
Yeah, Klay Thompson had jungle fever, and I'm gonna tell people why.
Oh my gosh! All right, so again, if you want to be part of the conversation, again, our Payne show tomorrow night on the Black Men Unfiltered Network, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just come on to the same network, and he'll be there for the show, and just hold on for what he's going to be dropping. But our Payne, as always, bro, you're my OG. First of all, you're from Jersey. We need to hook up soon. Certainly. We'd love to break bread with you again. It's been a minute.
Yeah, we gotta do that, man. We gotta do that. Bring Pete along. Bring Pete down from Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, Anton's Jersey also. In fact, I'm gonna see Anton. Probably might hook up next week. But yeah, we got to get the Jersey crew together and certainly break some bread. Watch, where you at now? You in the States or you in?
No, I'm still in Germany. I'm here for good.
And still in Germany. Yes. So I got you. So
I'll be quick. And again, awesomeness. Thank you for your time on the panel.
You got it.
You're absolutely right about breaking down the Klay Megan thing. When you look at it, it's a clear example that when we get in these relationships, as men, we don't matter, because when the breakup happens, you turn into the monster no matter what. You're always going to be it is apparent how everyone loved him until he stopped playing. He probably just got tired of her. And I think most of us have had experiences with great looking women that all other men and women said, well, she's amazing, you should have kept her. And essentially, she got old after about 4 or 5 months of that shit. And he moved on. And it's probably that simple. And now everyone's calling him all types of names.
There was a party they were at, and she was like kind of acting out. You could tell that he was like, this was that happened months ago.
A lot of guys, again, because she looks good, you stayed a lot longer than you. I know that head nod of approval. It's the okay, my son really is horrible at sports. Like it's the fake head nod of okay, I got to figure some other shit out. Like,
if you didn't see the full clip of that, she was hanging out with a male best friend throughout their whole relationship.
The gay best friend? You mean the gay homie best friend? Yeah.
He might be only gay on camera, but these gays got Johnsons too. I mean, I'm just trying to say, Klay was mad at that shit from the beginning. This guy was always around.
Yeah,
always around. So
we may have to jump on tomorrow night. Save some of the. You gonna be talking about this tomorrow night? Save for tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
I'll show up tomorrow night.
Jump on the show. You guys could chop this up. But Anton, anything you want to say before we get out of here tonight?
Man, I'm glad I came on. You guys I'm glad, we had a great discussion about this and everything. I mean, there were some things we didn't get a chance to talk. I didn't get a chance to on shows I didn't get a chance to listen to it. Now definitely helped out. I'm glad I got a chance to finally meet King. Shout out to Air Force. And you know what? Old man, it was good seeing you again. I haven't seen you in a while.
What's going on?
Stay busy as always, just as you can see, I've been just doing some stuff on a personal level. So other than that, I'm glad you guys did this as always. So can't wait till the next one.
You got it. You got it. And the Spartan King himself. Final thoughts, sir.
Two things. Like I said originally, don't be your heroes. You are your own hero. The only person who's going to motivate yourself is yourself. With living together, you should test the waters out before you put the ring around that. Because when the ring is, it's a lot harder to get out of it. That's what I say. In our pain. I see time is good on you, man. I see you haven't melted the time yet.
Say what?
I said time is being good with you. You haven't sanded away like Dr. Time.
I hear you.
Again, well, guys, we want to thank you guys once again for being part of the conversation tonight. Again, kind of free form. In 4 weeks, we're going to do this again. So again, make sure, sir, if you want to be part of the conversation, that's for anybody in the chat. All we ask is again, keep it conversational, keep it adult, and let's just share and break bread. But I can't tell you enough for everybody who chimed in tonight. That you guys chose to spend your Sunday nights with us, with all the other things going on. You got sports, NBA, NHL playoffs, all these things going on. You guys chose to hang out with us, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate the fact that you guys choose to spend your Sundays with us. But certainly for myself, for Anton, for R. Payne, the OG, and for the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. This is the gray area on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. Make sure you hit that like button as you leave the show. Consider becoming a member to both channels, and stay tuned certainly to the Sparta HQ Network. Again, we're going to be dropping some shows, certainly in Next Gen Training. We're trying to put a sports show together and whatnot. So again, stay tuned to what's going on in that space. We got a lot of exciting content coming up for you guys. So again, until next week, take care. God bless. And we will see you next time. Good night.